minging in here. Absolutely stinks. They're filthy, dirty, clean. Hello everyone, welcome back to the ST, and the next little project which I'm going to do, I'm going to look at taking the wheel off, well, jack the car up, take the wheel off, and I want to give the inside of the two front arches, hopefully today, give them a thoroughly good clean, and not just a wash. I want to sort of do tar remover, Iron X, the whole thing, give it a really good scrub, because I want it ready for putting the new springs on, new discs and pads, and then also the calipers eventually will get painted gold as well. So it just means it'll be nice, cut and clean, and hopefully I'll get to do the other one today. The weather today is pretty rubbish. It's basically raining, as you can see, but it has stopped at the moment, so I'm just going to try and do it. So I'm going to jack the car up. I've got the jet washer out. What I'm going to do is, first of all, obviously give it a really good jet. Then I'm going to use a bit of this Chemical Guys Wash and Gloss Citrus, just to kind of generally clean it. Then I've got some Iron X fallout remover to hopefully get rid of any of the metal kind of, you know, particles and whatnot in the arches. And then I've also got this, which is some Autosmart TARDIS tar and glue remover, and I'm going to use one of these as well just to sort of really agitate it, hopefully jet all that off, and then it should look pretty good. So let's get to it. Right, so I don't think I need to say much apart from the fact that it looks absolutely minging in here. I mean, even though you get the jet washer in, it doesn't do as good a job as actually getting in here and giving it a good clean. I mean, look at the state of the shocks and the springs. They're filthy. The brake lines, really dirty. Again, these will be getting properly sort of refurbished, but I just thought it'd be nice to give this a good clean. So here's some nice sort of before shots. So there's some before shots. Now let's get on with giving this a good clean. Even just giving it a sort of foam and a scrub and a jet has already made a difference. But now, let me get the camera and I'll show you. So even though it is definitely a hell of a lot cleaner in here, if you can see up close, look at all the kind of black tar that you can see. And even this, if you can hear it, it is really gritty. These look pretty bad, but I think there's not a lot that I'll be able to do with that. But yeah, again, like, if you can hear that, it's really gritty. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to use some of I've got Iron X fallout remover in this bottle, so spray that on and let it dwell for a few minutes. I've been letting it dwell now for a few minutes. Let's see if it picks it up on camera, but can you see the purple? It looks like the car is bleeding. So that is the Iron X fallout remover doing its job. I mean, you can always see it the most on things like the brake discs, because obviously that's where most of the kind of metal fallout is coming from. But yeah, you can really see it is working. It absolutely stinks, Iron X. But one thing's for sure is look at that up there. You can really see it bleeding. So you can see that that is pulling out the sort of fallout from the paint and the plastics. So I'll give it a quick agitation and I'll give it a rinse. that's rinsed off. So the next thing is I'm going to be using some of this Auto Smart TARDIS tartan glue remover. So I just put some in a glass jar because I haven't got any sort of spray bottle, and I'm going to use my brush to sort of spread it on and agitate it in. That's the glue and tar remover, the Auto TARDIS stuff. You can actually already see in some areas, and if you can sort of see that, but it is kind of helping sort of pull and clean out the tar from the car. I have used stuff like this before, and it's probably the best thing for removing tar from your car. It basically smells of petrol, is the best way I can describe it. But what I'm going to do is leave that on now for a little while, probably a good few minutes, let it soak in, and then I'll agitate it again with the brush. Wow, look at the difference. So after I've agitated and jet washed off, how clean this looks now compared to what it did before. Massively different. I mean, look at how much tar has actually gone. Now there is some tough spots up and around here, and there's still some, if we get up close, there's a few kind of little lumps. But, you know, even right back here, I mean, hopefully the camera picks it up. How much difference that stuff makes. It really does buy in and reduce the tar down. So what I'm just going to do is, just to see, obviously before sort of finishing off, I'm going to, there's a few like tougher lumps there, which actually you can see they come off quite easily. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread a little bit more on these areas, and then get like a rough pad, I can't remember what you call it, but it's like you use it in the kitchen, and then I'm going to scrub it by hand a bit harder, and then give it a last jet. Whilst I'm at it, I just thought, sort of in prep for doing the calipers, I'll just do a quick little spray of the brake dust remover, give it a little agitate, then what I'm going to do is just foam the rest of the arch again, just to kind of get rid of any of those chemicals. One last blast, and then we'll see what the finished results look like. So, just before I look to do a bit of dressing under here on the plastics, I thought I'd just give it a quick blast with the hairdryer to speed up the drying process. Because when you've done all this, the plastics now have gone a bit sort of grey, a bit cloudy looking. So to give it a bit more of a sort of water resistant protection and look a bit better, I'm just going to use some of this Auto Glim instant tyre dressing. I'm going to apply it with basically the sponge from a shoe polish that I don't need anymore. And then any little hard to reach areas, I'm going to use some of this tyre and bumper shine, just an aerosol spray. Cool. Okay, everyone. So I think I am done. Now, the dressing hasn't had time quite to fully dry yet, and it does look slightly still wet, but you get the idea anyway, that hopefully what I'll do is show some of the before pictures, maybe now, up against what you're sort of seeing now, and you should be able to see the difference. It is a hell of a lot cleaner under here. It's nice to know that when it comes to changing the springs and the hoses and the discs and pads, that you know, everything's had sort of a really good clean. Hopefully it does come across like in the camera, but I mean, I don't know if actually you can even hear, but that is totally smooth all here is really, really nice and shiny, sort of, and smooth. There's a couple of little tiny tar spots that I've just spotted like there. But, I mean, even back here, that is basically totally smooth. I mean, like, even look there. I've just wiped all that with my hands, and nothing. There's no dirt coming off really on there now. It is so nice and clean back here. I just need to sort of buff the plastic a little bit and the mudguard a bit. As you can see, the tire dressing put a little bit too much on, so it still looks a little bit damp. But wow, what a difference! I mean, you can actually see the black springs. I think they were basically brown before. I mean, this does look bad, but there's not a lot I can do about that. Stuff like that lets it down. This is all very corroded looking, the metalwork, but you know, unless you were going to sort of strip it and repaint it, you're never going to get that looking great. But for me, for peace of mind, just knowing that the arch now is amazingly clean, or as clean as I can make it really with the products that I've got, it's not a 10 out of 10 job. I give myself kind of a 8.5 to 9 out of 10 job, but I'm really happy with that. It'll be nice to know once I've got the springs in and everything. And as I said, I've not given this, I'll give it more of a clean when it comes to actually painting these, but this will have taken away sort of, you know, some of the work that I've had to do. Previously I only painted these silver, because you can sort of see they didn't bother really masking anything off, and this here is now silver. But when I do these, I'm going to look at sort of giving them a sand. I'm going to be primering them, spray painting them gold, and lacquering them, so there should be a much better finish than what the previous owner did. Let me know what you think. I'm pretty happy with the results. I think it's a lot better. It's just a part of a car which is neglected, I think, from when people wash their cars. You know, they think they do a really good thorough job sometimes, but I think like this is something you might want to do once a year, probably after winter. Now I'm doing this during winter, but this is in prep for work being done on the car. So what I'm going to do now is, actually, while I've got the wheels off, I'm actually going to give the inside of these a bit of a clean, because they are filthy, even though I'm not going to be keeping these wheels, but just to make them, you know, in much better condition when it comes to sell them. So I've done this side. I'm going to try and get the other side done before it looks to rain. As always, everyone, thanks for watching. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. The channel's growing really, really nicely at the moment. Really happy to see it. Getting some nice comments, so hopefully people are enjoying the content I'm doing on this project car. All that's left for me to do is say thanks again for watching, and see you all in the next video.